Today I'm doing a man versus AI challenge. Um, we're all pretty familiar with AI and what it can do and what it can't do at this point. And so, as a way of testing creativity and kind of just having some fun, I I thought I would do a little bit of a prompt challenge, see who can come up with a better. Today we're seeing who can come up with a better magic system. The focus is something from nature. I've had it randomized, and so we have 20 different options that I had AI generate, and then I'm going to roll a d20, whatever it lands on. I will have 30 minutes to create a magic system from that, and then I will use probably ChatGPT, and I'll put in a sufficiently long prompt so that it can do the same. And if it needs some clarification, I'll throw a clarification prompt or two in. But essentially, like I'll have 30 minutes once I know it to go, and then once and then AI will have a prompt or two to put it together. Um, so yeah, I have a few requirements of what will be included. So it'll include such things as the name of this magic system, how it's gained, where it comes from, who can use it, what it can do when used, the costs of the magic system, limitations, maybe the global role, what world it might exist in, so a little bit of kind of story and lore, general acceptance, how those who use it are viewed, it's kind of like general acceptance, how to get stronger, how to defeat others, and the people who use it, what are they called? And so I'll try and, for me, I'll have 30 minutes to try and answer all these questions and come up with something based on what it is. And otherwise, we'll be good. Otherwise, and yeah, and after that, we'll go. See how it goes. Hop right into it. All right. Okay. So this is the list of nature. This is the list of items I got. Here's all. Some of these will be tricky. All right. Some of these will be tricky. Let's hope it doesn't land on a few of these. But yeah, we'll go from there. All right. Roll the d20 now. All right. Give this a roll and 14. All right. So 14 is animal tracks. Okay. Sure. I can do animal tracks. All right. We'll get a timer going. 30 minutes. All right. Just to be clear, I have 30 minutes to get this done. So I'll see you all in 30 minutes. All right. And that's 30 minutes. So in the 30 minutes, I came up with this. Ignore that. That was my attempts at a script, which I quickly gave up on and decided to wing it, which is better anyway. So I came up with, based on the Animal Tracks magic system, I came up with a magic system based on a source called Lifelight, or Life Tracks or Spirit Walking. And it comes from the tracks of spirit beasts. Now, the best way to describe this is to situate you in the world that this might take place in. Essentially, it's a world, there's the human plane, and it's kind of split between darkness and light. It's between these two realms, or death and life. And it's broken down, and the only humans that are remaining in this kind of torn apart world live in these small cities or villages. Darkness is winning, for better or worse. Death is slowly taking over the land. And the only places that remain safe havens are the human settlements. The reason they do this is because they've figured out how to harness lifelight. And what it does is it creates a somewhat barrier that repels darkness, repels the things in the shadows, repels the darklings. And so you have human settlements, and then everywhere else is just called the shadows. That's it. Now, to get the darkness, there's these beings, spiritual beasts, and they'll show up, and humans rarely see them. All they find of them is these animal tracks. They'll find the animal tracks, and that's it. And the animal tracks glow with the lifelight. Now, there's special people who are trained in this called trackers and gatherers. You have the trackers who track these down, find them, and find the tracks, and they learn how to gather them. Now, in the current system, in this current ethos, in the current system, you have people who essentially scoop up the track and gather the magic from it. Now, the track is just left. Think of it as like a glowing paw print or footprint or whatever, just emanating this life light. And they'll scoop that up and they gather it and they bring it back to their town where it keeps things at bay. It's used to create fertile ground. You mix it in with the soil and it dissipates, right? And then you end up with, so this is the only way that they're being kept alive. Now, eventually you end up with this, our hero, or a hero, who's been kicked out and they were training to become a gatherer. They were learning the ways. They almost had their tattoos. Now, the tattoos become important later, but eventually they get tattoos of tracking of animal tracks along them to represent their role in society. He had stolen some extra. He'd been keeping extra because his mother had gotten the dark sickness or the darkness or whatever. Now, what it does is, very simple. It creates it slowly invades your body and will eventually kill you. He was gathering some extra to cure her. He was found out. He saved his mother, but he was removed from the city and he was sent to the shadows, a death sentence, effectively, for they only go out in force, and they typically go out after the beasts have left. They never see them alive because when the beasts are around, the shadows come into a kind of frenzy. And there's just more of them. Once the beasts have disappeared, so people never see them. Anyway, so our hero is barely surviving out in the shadows, and he comes across a spirit beast, a large sloth, a large glowing sloth. It's the first one he's seen, and it's this giant sloth, and it's walking, and it's leaving these prints, these paw prints of glowing light. And they see each other, and he approaches the sloth, and he starts, and essentially there's a bit of an interchange where he's taken, but the sloth indicates for him to walk in his steps. And you don't do this. Because if you step in the paw prints, they dissipate. People know this. The gatherers know this. It's the number one rule. You don't press it into the ground because then it dissipates into the ground. There's an important reason for this, though. But the sloth is serious, and it's a giant spirit beast. So what would you do? He steps into the print, and it pushes into the ground, and the ground around it clears away of some of the darkness. But he also feels it in him. He's a gatherer. He's familiar with what the life light feels like. It goes into him. He takes another step at the sloth's beckoning, and he starts following the sloth, taking steps, and each step pushes some life light into the ground, but some comes back up. Another step, and eventually he starts leaning forward and walking like the sloth as well, at the sloth's suggestion. The sloth at this point is starting to fade. There's a reason spirit beasts don't last long. This isn't their realm. They fade back to their realm really quickly. They can only stay here for a little bit to bring life light, and they vanish. But as he's walking in the sloth's footsteps, instead of fading, its power is going into him. He's walking, he's on all fours now. It's almost ridiculous, but he's doing it. And eventually he has the form of the sloth coating him. Think of a spiritual armor coating him entirely. And now he's walking, and eventually all the footprints are gone, and he's absorbed it, and the ground where he's stepped has been dispersed with this life light, and it's keeping the shadows at bay. There might even be a few buds growing. But now he is coated in this armor, and as he stands back up, it recedes into him, and it forms a tattoo on his arm, but this one's glowing, and it's in the form of the sloth. And with this, he's able to actually fight the darkness. There was no way to fight it before, but he's able to actually fight it back and keep it at bay and defeat those who come from the darkness. Whereas before they're only using it as defensive. He's able to use it as an offensive measure. So that's how my system works. As far as it's being viewed, obviously society needs these trackers and gatherers to survive. He becomes what's called a spirit walker. Spirit walkers were the spirit walkers of old, but they've been lost over time for reasons. Again, I had half an hour to get that far. But costs, you need to use the form offered. It only lasts a time. The lifeline will last longer if it's in the form it came in. So that's the issue, is the lifeline disperses too fast. But if it's in the form that it came in, namely the sloth who brought it, in that armor that he's now wearing, it'll last longer. So there's that. Keeps the darkness at bay. It heals those with darkness, provides lifelight. Anyone can use it if you can walk in the steps and you know how to, if you understand how to connect to it, which they would have learned. Global role keeps them at bay. Explain the rules. General acceptance. Again, he has been scorned, but as you come back, he might become a hero, and you might have other people taking on these spiritual beast forms. The issue is as more and more keep these at bay, you have stronger and stronger dark beings coming forward. Yeah, and so that's more or less, and you can read some of these notes here, but this was the final, this was just my kind of quick thought process, brain scramble here. But yeah, that was my, animal magic system based on animal tracks with 30 minutes. All right, so that was my 30 minutes. That was all of it. That's what I came up with. I recorded that segment yesterday, and I recorded this one today. So I'm wearing different clothes, different hair, yada yada. Anyway, so that's all mine. See, actually pretty happy with that. For 30 minutes, it's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. I'm gonna see what ChatGPT can come up with now. So we'll see. All right, I got that written out. So the question I'm asking it, I think it's a pretty conductive prompt. Can you create a magic system based around the idea of animal tracks? Please include the following details about it, as well as some others: a name, how the magic is gained, when the magic comes from, who can use it, what it can do and use, the costs, limitations, magic system's global role, what kind of world might this magic exist in, what's the general acceptance of the magic system in this world, how are those who use it viewed, how to get stronger, how to defeat others, what are those who use it called, as well. Feel free to include any pertinent symbolism or any other pieces of lore that accompany your magic system. So we'll give this a go and we'll see what it comes up with. All right, and that's ChatGPT's. It answered all my questions. This was its thought, or a little, probably about the same. All right, so it came up with a magic system called trail binding. Cool name. It's gained through a connection with the echoes of the from a mystical connection with the echoes of the wild, which are spiritual imprints left behind by animals in the form of tracks. You get it by following an animal's trail during this rite known as the Walk of Echoes. Cool name. This rite involves walking through an animal through its natural habitat days without harming it, eventually leading to a movement of mutual respect and connection. Cool. Once it's formed, the animal's essence imprints on the trail binder's soul, granting them access to the magic. Okay, so we know the name of its soul is called trail binder. Magic system trail binding. Again, cool name. Where the magic comes from. It originates from a force called the path weave. Neat. I went with life light. Went with the path weave. Mystical network that connects all living creatures through movement and traces they leave behind. Tracks hold fragments of the animal's essence, imbued with primal energy. Cool. Who can use it? Anyone can attempt the Walk of Echoes. Chooses its champions based on their harmony with the natural world. Those are sharp instinct, deep respect for nature. Unwavering perseverance, succeed. Okay. Dope people. Got it. Seems like anybody, but you have to kind of have it in connection with nature. What it can do when used. You can mimic animal traits. Wolf speed, bear strength, hawk vision. You can track with supernatural okay, so a lot of ranger effects, it seems. Classical ranger. Summon phantasmal forces. Create spectral versions of animal state in combat, scouting, or communication. Cool. Trail shaping. Use trails to manipulate terrain and create illusory paths to mislead enemies. It's actually kind of cool. Especially if you're in a world where there's trail following is important. That's cool. Trail alchemy. Infuse items with the essence of tracks, whatever that means, creating powerful tools, weapons, or potions. Cool. I don't know what that means, but it's cool. Cost of the magic. It comes at the cost of physical energy and focus, as channeling the pathways takes a toll on the body and mind. Overuse can cause exhaustion, confusion, or even leave the trailbinder temporarily feral. It's kind of cool. Stronger the animal's essence, the greater the strain. Additionally, breaking the bond with the animal or disrespecting its kind weakens the magic. Okay, so it's a respect. It's more esoteric, more ethereal kind of costs as well as physical ones. Cool, very cool. Limitations of the magic, specificity. You can only draw a type of animal they are bonded to. Okay, we kind of went for the same one there. Environment depends on terrain. Using a desert fox's essence in a forest or fish's essence on land reduces its potency. Cool. Sacred Pact. It cannot harm the animal species they are bonded to without losing their magic permanently. Interesting. Time limited. like summoning echoes are fleeted and tied to the trailbinder's stamina. Okay, yeah, time. That's a pretty standard magic one. Global role plays a crucial role in balance between humanity and nature. Often used for hunting, exploration, and conflict resolution. They serve as guardians of the wild, mediators, defenders. Cool. What kind of world might this magic system exist in? Trailbinding would thrive in a low-tech, nature-dominant world where wilderness spans vast regions and human settlements are scattered. That's interesting. We went opposite directions. It went ultra foresty, ultra overgrown, and I went very mystical, very like dark and shattered, no nature left. So it seems like this system is one that's existed for a while and is kind of a part of society. I think the one I had kind of conjured up in the 30 minutes was closer to a system that was like a response to something. Like there was an outward stimuli and it kind of pushed this system kind of into existence, somewhat out of survival. General acceptance of the magic system, widely respected but also feared. Pretty classic. Seems a secret art. Primal animalistic nature can settle more civilized societies. Ooh. How primal, how feral. With urban centers may regard them as relics of an older, wilder world. Interesting. How are those who use it viewed? Trailbinders are seen as mystics, hunters, or sages, depending on the culture. Fair enough. Distrust their untamed power, fear the feral side. Okay, so the feral side is kind of like going full werewolf or whatever. It gets stronger by bonding with multiple animals. I think we kind of had that similarly. Mine was you bond with multiple ones and you get multiple tattoos. I don't know if I mentioned that. Mastering the pathweave, studying tracks, and honing their instincts, sharpen their skills. Makes sense. Facing trials. Oh, very cool. To defeat a trailbinder, one can disrupt the trail, erase or corrupt the tracks they draw power from. Oh, interesting. Trap them in an urban environment. Trails are scarce. Their magic is weaker. Interesting. Okay, so it kind of seems like once they follow the path, even aside from gaining that power, that form, it also seems like the ongoing tracks around them might be working to re-empower them as they go about. It's very cool. What are those users called? Commonly known as track walkers, path seers, or binders. Okay. Give them animal-specific titles like wolfbound or hawkseer based on their bonds. Oh, that's interesting. Cool, very cool. Okay, so it's starting to set up like multiple cultures. Very neat. Symbols and lore, animal tracks, symbolic journey of life. Pathweave is seen as a divine tapestry with trails acting as its thread. Oh, that would be very pretty, actually. Tracks moving along a thread, creating a tapestry. And then Legends tell of prime beasts, of course. Mythical beasts whose trails can grant unmatched power but come at great peril. Neat. Cool. All right. So that was ChatGPT's response. Some similarities. It's tricky when which is to be expected. We're coming up with the same, basing it on the same system. We definitely, it was interesting how both of us decided to incorporate following the tracks, which is kind of fun. It's not really a system you see too often. Well, it's good to have systems that have somatic components. Somatic, I'm not sure. Anyway, like actual actions, but following the path is kind of cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's anyway. That was ChatGPT's. That was mine. I like playing with that. I don't really condone. I mean, I think most people are like this, but obviously I don't condone. Especially if you're writing or creating, it's always better to come up with your own thing. It's always more enjoyable, better practice, forces your brain to work. Very rewarding coming up with your own thing, but it is fun. I know I've used ChatGPT a lot for brainstorming, shake things up a little bit. I'm trying to come up with something where I hit a wall. It's fun to just, hey, what's something like this? I'll give you like a bunch of things, and sometimes they push your brain in the direction you need. Going for a walk can also do that. Reading another book, and it's a different source, but I think if you use it responsibly, and again, don't rely completely on it, it's really really powerful. Also, it's really fun. I don't know who doesn't like reading a new magic system based on something completely different. So anyway, those are two magic system baits on the idea of animal tracks. We had one came up with me. We had one came up by ChatGPT. For anyone who made it this far, let me know which one you liked better, pros and cons. I think if I was actually trying to do something with this magic system, I might steal the name Trail Binding. That's a cool name. Although I like Spirit Walking too. Trail Binding's cool. But I'd probably go with that. I'd probably honestly keep with Spirit Walking. I like Spirit Walking more. Pathwave is a cool name though, and I liked the imagery of a tapestry woven with tracks. That was kind of beautiful almost. Again, didn't really work with my system, but yeah, let me know which one you prefer, what you do, and come up with your own. Tell me a magic system that works on animal tracks. Additionally, if you're wanting to see another video like this, let me know. Give me another kind of major topic. I chose nature for this one. I might do nature again. It's kind of fun. It forces my brain to work, and it's a fun way to break out of writer's block or something like that. But yeah. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again.